Okay, so now I'd like to discuss how to build a nested if statement formula in Excel. And so I want to start by first talking about kind of how do we need to set the information that we need to create the nested if statement. So while I have written here in this table kind of how the information was logically provided to us in terms of the amount ordered, whether Q was less than 100, between 100 but less than 150, greater than or equal to 150 and less than 250, or greater than or equal to 250, this information is just kind of a logical representation. When I was discussing kind of the logic behind, I talked about how to order these different cases. Okay, so that we would be Q less than 100, and once we've covered that case, then we need to check for all the Qs less than 150, followed by checking for any orders less than 250, and then finally the everything else, all orders that are 250 or greater. But in Excel, the way that we have to actually input the information is just by kind of putting in kind of the numbers that represent kind of the boundaries for each of the cases, and then the associated price with each of the the thresholds that we are given. And so let's get started. And so we are trying to calculate the total price, and notice that we've ordered the thresholds here, and we're going to go through them in ascending order. Okay, so what we are going to say is equals if the amount ordered, okay, is less than 100. Okay, and notice that we're going to be copying the formula in B2 down the table, and so we need to lock G3. If the amount in A2 is less than 100, then we are going to charge $5, again, which needs to be locked, times the amount ordered. Else, so if this is not true, then if the amount ordered is less than 150, our second threshold, again, we need to lock that, then we are going to charge 475, which needs to be locked, times the amount ordered, which is an A2. Else, if it's not less than 150, we need to check if the amount ordered in A2 is less than our next threshold, which is 250 in G5, which needs to be locked. Then we're going to charge 455, or what's in H5, which needs to be locked, times the amount ordered. And so if it's not less than this third threshold, it must mean that it's greater than or equal to 250, and we will charge 415 per unit, which is an H16 and needs to be locked, times the amount ordered in A2. And then we need to close all of the parentheses, and note that the color coding in the parentheses, okay, to help us out. And so when we press enter, we see that we are charged 682.50. And so let's double check that. So with an order of 150, it means that we are actually in this case right here. Okay, so because the previous case, it was for Q less than 150. So at 150, we'd be charged 455 per unit times 150, which equals 682.50. Okay, so we know that that's correct. Okay, so now we can autofill the rest of our table. Okay, and so then we can double check a couple more. So let's think about 268. We are in this final case, and so here we would charge 415 times 268, or 112.20, which is exactly what we got. Okay, so I want to take a moment and go back to our spreadsheet here. and or to our PowerPoint presentation and talk about the fact that when we created kind of this formula in Excel and when we've talked about the logic behind it, what we've done is we've created a set of cases that are mutually exclusive. And so what that means for a case to be mutually exclusive is that two or more conditions cannot be simultaneously satisfied. Okay, so again, if we go back to the spreadsheet, what we see here, right, is that if I give you any order quantity, any amount ordered, say if I give you 113, it can only satisfy this condition, that Q, it is not less than 100. And so once we've done that, it has to be the case that 113 can only satisfy this condition. And so importantly, as we think about the conditions, kind of their order matters, right? So this is why this notion of a nested sieve. Okay, and in addition, we've said that they must be collectively exhaustive, meaning that if I give you any order quantity, any order quantity in that full possible spectrum of orders, it will be there will be one of the conditions that I've defined that will capture any possible order quantity that exists.